Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
A lot of teams see me as a 3-4 outside linebacker. I'm willing to play in a defensive end at the next level in a 4-3 defense, but majority of the teams are going to want me to play outside linebacker, and I'm fine with that.
Who does he replace on our team? Those are the kinds of conversations we have. And again, as I said before, one of the things we really focus on is how important is football to this young man.
And good evening, everyone. Welcome into Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network from downtown Columbia on a beautiful Tuesday afternoon. Good to have you with us, wherever you happen to be tonight. We appreciate you taking time out to make Sports Talk part of your daily habit. And it's a very, very good habit. Phil Kornbluth, Professor Tom Hayes, K-Mac, Kevin McCrary, State Man, Graham. Are those my Red Hots you were just throwing down?
These are my Skittles, actually. My Skittles.
All right, leave my Red Hots alone if you don't mind.
You are all over those Red Hots. I've been accused twice today of eating your Red Hots, and I have not touched any of your Red Hots. If I wanted one of your Red Hots, though, I would have just grabbed one when you went to the bathroom, and you would have never been the wiser.
I keep account of how many Red Hots
exactly
are left
how many
in the box. Yes. Speaking of Red Hots, we are Red Hot tonight. USC basketball coach Frank Martin will join us at 6:30. He's got his annual event coming up this week. We'll talk with him about that, as well as things with his basketball program as he continues to recruit like a fiend. He supposedly, I have not been able to get confirmation from his coach, but Eric Holman is supposed to be on the USC campus today. He's out of Owensboro, Kentucky, 6'9". Pro, you like him. He's 6'9". He's about 200 pounds. He's got a long wingspan, all that kind of stuff. Needs to put some weight on, considering going to Hargrave Military Prep. But first, he's looking at some colleges to see if maybe he's ready to make the step directly into college.
Here's the other question is, was he also contemplating, I guess, changing his classification so he could stay in an extra year or something?
Well, he is considering, right now he plans to go to Hargrave Prep and play a year of prep school. But he's graduating from high school, so he can go directly to college, and some schools are telling him, come on. Some schools are saying you need to go to prep school for a year to put on some weight. Eric Cobb, who doesn't have that problem, his problem is the other direction because he weighs 280. His official visit to USC won't start until tomorrow. He's not coming in until Wednesday, according to his coach. So USC's got the door spinning in terms of people visiting. Tevin Mack, tell you what the latest is there from talking to his mom, fill you in on that. Some other recruiting news for you as well. And your phone calls, 800-956-7266. What's on your mind sports-wise? You heard from Vic Beasley. You heard from Dave Gettleman to open up the show. Yes, the NFL draft is only 2 days away.
Well, the first round, at least. The first round, and then it drags into another couple of rounds on Friday and about 3 rounds or 4 rounds on Saturday.
Yeah. Do we really need 3 days to do the NFL draft? Thank you, ESPN. No, we don't, but we do. Back in a moment. And our phone number is 800-956-7266. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com and on Twitter @sportstalksc. Love to hear from you in any form or fashion that you'd like to chime in on the program. Wide open for your phone calls right now. Wide open for any of the things that you want to talk about. College baseball, which we dwelled on last night. We can talk college football, of course, anytime. Little college basketball recruiting continues hot and heavy in many different ways in college basketball. We're recruiting the 2015s, the 2016s, the graduating players off of teams who still have a year of eligibility. It just never ceases to amaze me what goes on in college basketball recruiting. We've got the big fight coming up, Mayweather and Pacquiao. I used to really like boxing, used to kind of pay attention to it, don't really anymore, but this one is certainly piquing everyone's attention.
Yeah.
I'm going with Pacquiao because I like his commercials I've seen. Have you seen his commercials this week? He's really seems like a nice guy.
Well, he's definitely the I guess the protagonist in this fight if you had to pick between the two. But Mayweather is just a lot of people don't like him. A lot of people loathe him, and he has a lot of baggage outside of the ring.
Mm-hmm.
But he's unbeaten. I mean, the guy's never lost. Unfortunately, this fight is happening 3 or 4 years too late. These guys are not in their prime anymore, but it's a fight that everybody's wanted for a long time. I'd love to see Pacquiao win. I think that would be cool for him to kind of get back on top of things, but I don't know if he can do it.
And the interesting thing is that Mayweather is one of those guys that's sly like a fox. He knows that in any type of marketing, and his marketing people must be very good, because either people love you very much or they hate you. So he's playing the hater role, the hatee, and so he's still
playing it well.
Door.
I mean, the domestic battery against women. I mean, that's a real good way to make people hate you. Getting arrested for that, burning money to show you everybody how rich he is. That's a great way for people just to not like you very much. If you're using a female as your sparring partner without her consent. So I hope Pacquiao wins, but I'm just not sure. I like boxing, so actually, when it still comes on HBO. I watch it this Saturday night. The heavyweight division is just awful now. I mean, Vladimir Klitschko.
Are you going to plop down the money for it?
I don't know. I'm going to see if I can convince one of my neighbors to plop down the money for it. That's usually how I roll.
I can remember back when closed circuit boxing. Remember those?
Yes.
You'd go to the Carolina Coliseum, at least here in Columbia. You'd go to the Carolina Coliseum for the big fight, or you'd go out to they had it one time in one of the buildings out at the state fairgrounds.
Yeah.
And, you'd sit there and you'd wait, and all of a sudden the picture would come up on the screen.
Everybody cheer.
Yeah, hey. And then the picture would go away and the picture would come up.
Then a guy's on the mat.
I went to the Tyson-Michael Spinks fight, if you want to call it that.
That wasn't that was like, 36 seconds?
Yeah, I mean, you paid this money to go to the fight. Yeah. What happened? It's already over. That's the risk of I went to the Sugar Ray Leonard Marvin Hagler fight at the Carolina Coliseum. That's where it was being shown. And of course, the picture quality was terrible and the sound quality was terrible. But, you could see them slugging it out a little bit. Now, that was some great fighting. Sugar
91 seconds is how long it took Tyson to knock out Michael Spinks.
All right, 800-956-7266. If you have a dog in the fight and you have a favorite for Saturday night, let us know who you're picking. Maybe you know a little bit more about boxing than we do.
Or you can just invite us over for the fight. How much is it? $100?
$100.
Yeah. Well,
that one by the wife.
My crazy friend of mine actually paid money at the Carolina Coliseum to see Evel Knievel attempt to jump over the Snake River Canyon. I couldn't believe he doled out cash for that. I just
waited for the replay on Wide World of Sports. It was for steak man.
No, just from what I understand, yes, I think it's $100 for at home. You have businesses like Jillian's or something around Columbia that'll hold the fight and have a head count and make you pay a cover at the door. If I had this correct, I think businesses, it costs $5,000 to broadcast, which is an insane amount of money. But I guess they make it back on maybe liquor sales or the head counts, but $5,000 is a big number.
I would think so. All right, to the quick news notes of the day. The big news of the day, Paul McCartney is coming to Columbia.
Oh, that's
No, Sir Paul McCartney.
Isn't that something?
Talking about doing things past your prime.
Paul McCartney.
Is he bringing John Lennon with him?
He could his last breath could be
There's a Weekend at Bernie's.
a tune, and it would be beautiful. I mean, come on, this is Paul McCartney.
I saw Paul
now.
the last time he was in South Carolina. He played at Williams-Brice Stadium. My parents took me.
Big night out with the old folks.
Big
huh?
night. I think I probably was
Did you
12
drink
years
heavily
old.
that night too?
I was not of legal drinking age, so no, I was not inebriated. But I enjoyed the concert, but they made such a big deal about it.
Well, it's Paul McCartney.
Well, I mean, yeah,
It's
it's Paul McCartney.
Listen, you
it's
can
not.
give me anybody of today's modern age group singing any genre. They don't come close to Paul McCartney. They don't.
Paul
come
McCartney.
Close.
I don't know. I'd put a few people up.
I hope
what the Rolling Stones would be up in
not even close.
Yeah,
He's
and
not the third best Beatle. He's the number one Beatle. And you go back and you listen to those Beatles songs, man. Everyone.
You know who opened up that building, right? You know who opened up the Carolina Coliseum? It was then the Carolina Coliseum.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it was Carolina Arena. Is that what it was?
No, it's always been Carolina Coliseum.
Not Carolina Coliseum. I'm talking about the new one.
Colonial.
It was Colonial Life, but then it was Carolina Arena, whatever it was. But the boss opened it up.
Yeah,
that would be a bigger deal.
I'll put it this way: I haven't been excited for a concert.
He's American, at least he's American.
Yeah,
we've got one of these Brits probably bringing his universal health care and his socialism with him.
How about some guys from Ireland? Because
Paul had an American wife. One of his wives was American.
Yeah, U2 in Williams-Brice Stadium.
Yeah, they were big.
Interesting.
Nothing touches Paul McCartney.
It's Sir Paul. I would disagree. I think you are grossly overestimating Paul
I may
McCartney.
Break out into a couple of my Beatles renditions.
What's your favorite Paul McCartney song?
Oh, there's so many. The Long and Winding Road. That one is very touching. I Want to Hold Your Hand. Help.
These are Beatles songs.
Yeah,
you're singing.
Well, I mean, he wrote the majority.
Why don't we just get into Wings?
I'll be
that Lennon guy helped him write a few of them.
I'll be blasphemous.
Lennon wrote his coattails, didn't he?
I'll be blasphemous for a moment. If somebody laid
nobody hit the high notes. Like
if somebody laid a ticket here and had Paul McCartney sitting here and James Taylor sitting here, I grabbed the James Taylor ticket.
Well, that's your loss. That's your loss.
You don't like James Taylor?
I like James Taylor.
Okay, then.
He's no Paul McCartney. All right, let's move on. Steve Spurrier is going to write his own history. In other words, an autobiography. Coming out in 2016. Now, I wonder if once it's released, if he'll claim that he was misquoted.
Over under on how many words Steve Spurrier. You think he's in front of a typewriter? Right? Jerry, hold my calls. I'm going to sit here. I'm going to write this book here.
He's writing it along with longtime Florida sports writer Buddy Martin, who's one of the few people in the media that Spurrier really trusts. And they go back to his days together in Florida.
He distrusts him
for now.
And Spurrier spent time with Martin last week in Florida talking about the book, and they'll spend more time together this summer. Martin was on the Paul Feinbaum show, and he announced this information. Of course, there's a book out on Spurrier, and it had to be authorized, the book that Rand Henry wrote, because he had unbelievable access to Spurrier until Spurrier got mad about what he wrote about his father, and then he cut him off. So maybe Spurrier is going to tell a different story about his relationship with his father in his autobiography, and maybe this is his way of getting that story out.
In his autobiography, they get the stop against Tennessee. They hold on against Missouri. You just do whatever you want. It's his biography.
That's called pure
You
fiction.
can do whatever you want.
That's called pure fiction if you're going to tell
I
that
can
tale.
see
Brian Williams is going to
see him announcing the book at a press conference, and Rand is sitting there. Oh, is he in here? Oh, no. You have to move the press conference.
Former Gamecock linebacker and safety Marquise Roberts is going to Kansas to play his last year. So
the trade is complete.
Gamecocks are getting a safety from Kansas. And Kansas is getting a linebacker.
He was the player to be named later.
Yeah, he is headed to Kansas to finish out his career. Former Irmo football coach Bob Hanna is going to join the staff of Chuck Jordan's at Conway as an assistant coach. So that will be quite an addition to the Tiger staff. We'll be right back. And we're back 800-956-7266. Sports Talk presented by the Palmetto Project. Call 888-998-4646 to enroll in a health plan and avoid paying next year's tax penalty. That's 888-998-4646. Frank Martin coming up in just a couple of minutes here on Sports Talk. Kentucky landed another big-time player, junior college prospect Michael Mulder, 6'4" guard, is headed to Kentucky, but they missed out on another big-timer who committed to Kansas today, whose name escapes me, but he's a big-time player that chose Kansas over Kentucky. The Clemson Athletic Hall of Fame, they've got 9 former athletes about to go in. The 2015 inductees will be Nancy Augustiniak, soccer, Jay Berger from men's tennis, Dwayne Bruley, head men's tennis coach, Danny Ellis, men's golf, Ed McDaniel, football, Linda Rudder, women's swimming, Tim Tuffle from baseball, Pierce Torme, men's soccer, Sharon Wells, women's basketball, and Billy Williams, men's basketball. Induction weekend is scheduled for October 9th and 10th. That's the weekend of the Clemson-Georgia Tech football game. And let's see, I believe we have touched on most everything. Braves back in action tonight at home. We'll hear from Mike Morgan coming up. Braves won last night. Got off to Schneid a little bit, so good way to start their series at home.
Dodgers won too, in case anybody cares.
The Yankees won as well, and the Yankees are in first place in the American League East. Well, maybe it'll be a Yankees-Dodgers year in the World Series.
Didn't hit 660 yet.
Not yet. He had his chances last night.
You'll have to keep the fireworks in the holster for another night there at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, it's going to happen. Just a matter of time that it will happen. USC Clemson baseball idle here for the next few days. Both teams going through exams, and they open up weekend series, big ones. USC at home to Auburn, Clemson at home to Louisville. We'll talk more about that as we move on through the week. And what else we have going on of major interest? We've sort of been getting into that slow period before we ratchet things back up around football time, unless something happens in baseball to sort of get things regenerated again between the Gamecocks and the Tigers. Not overlooking those others, but we're talking in terms of the statewide following. Need South Carolina and Clemson to do something in baseball here. It's going to be a very dry May and June and half of July for everybody.
I don't know how many people care about this, but it's a three-peat for John Barry and Paul Johnson at the Chick-fil-A.
Is it over already?
Apparently, a playoff victory and a three-peat, according to West Durham's Twitter feed. I don't know where
did they play
Dabo Swinney and Steve Spurrier's team finished. Of course, Dabo is playing with Steve Fuller.
Correct.
And Steve Spurrier is playing with Sterling Sharp.
Where do they play this?
They play at
Reynolds Plantation.
About
an hour outside of Atlanta.
Well, see, those guys practice on their course all the time. That's why they win it.
Yeah, John Barry's solid. Apparently, Paul Johnson can play a little bit too.
Yeah.
Triple option. They run the triple option golf game.
Frank Martin coming up. And we're back at Sports Talk South Carolina Radio Network from downtown Columbia. Good to have you with us. Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, Professor Tom Hayes at your service on this Tuesday night as we welcome in USC basketball coach Frank Martin, the Sports Talk coach. Good evening. How are you?
I'm doing great. I want to talk with Tom, though, because I know you two guys aren't very happy with me, so I want Tom to be nice to me.
Come
we
on.
love you, Coach. We love you.
Get some thick skin. Come on.
No, you know you can't. You know you can't do what you do or do what I do and be any good with thin skin.
That's right. You're exactly right. Especially what you do. And we don't need that much of a thick skin, especially what you do. But let's jump to first of all, let's jump to what's coming up this week. Your third annual B-Ball of the South Coaches versus Cancer benefit. You got some great people coming in. It's a great cause, and you have had wonderful success with this event thus far in Columbia.
Yeah, I'm so proud of all the folks that have supported it. So proud of my wife. That's the one that hasn't slept in about 10 days to make sure it's a great event. And we've raised about $250,000 first 2 years, and we've had I think right over 500 people attend over the first 2 years, and it's been a fun night, great time, a great conversation, great company, dancing, music, just everyone in a good mood, and heck, we raised some dollars to eventually overcome this crazy disease called cancer.
Yeah. Are you able to put basketball out of your mind for at least 5 or 6 hours and kind of let your guard down a little bit and just have a good old time?
I try my best, but when I'm going to have Brad Underwood, Tubby Smith, and Jeff Goodman around, I don't think they're going to want to talk about my dancing skills.
Yeah. $125 for the individual tickets, limited number do remain. Give us some of the details about location and time and things of that nature.
Yeah, it's we at 6 p.m. We kind of take the Colonial Life Arena and we make it look like a racetrack, and we give it the whole Kentucky Derby feel to it, and it's we have a VIP reception for the folks that have made considerable donations and the celebrities, and we just kind of sit around, talk, say stories, meet people, and then the doors open at 7, and then we have the store, a local family. It's very dear to our family here over the past 3 years, and the mom, the wife, has overcome breast cancer, and she's going to say her story, and because that's our theme this year is breast cancer, and then Tubby Smith, former assistant here for the Gamecocks, and then with him and his wife both have family in the area, and he just absolutely loves this part of the world, and on top of that, he's one of the most influential cancer fighters that we have in the coaching industry, and he's given his time and help us, and he's gonna come on stage and say some words, and and then auction and music and live band and dancing, and just try and have as much fun as we possibly can.
Mm-hmm. What happens when somebody tries to break in on you and your wife and maybe take your wife for a spin out on the dance floor? Do you you throw a shoulder into them, or do you step aside?
Actually, that's where I usually have to kind of behave, because I'm such a bad dancer, and my wife loves to dance. So she's actually happy when she dances with somebody that dances with, like, I dance with 2 left feet. So she enjoys it, and so I've got to kind of step back and allow her to enjoy that moment.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've seen you walk, I've seen you move around with those knees. I can't imagine you have a hard time, spinning out there on the dance floor.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember the movie Hitch. There's a scene where Will Smith is teaching Kevin James how to dance.
Yeah.
I'm Kevin James.
Yes. Remember that well. All right. That's coming up on Friday night here in Columbia at the Colonial Life Arena. It's going to be a big time. If you want to purchase tickets, 770-595-5663. That's at the American Cancer Society, 770-595-5663. All right. Now, let me turn our attention to a little bit about your basketball. And you and your staff, well, I tell you what, you have been tearing it up on the recruiting trail here the past few weeks. And like it's the recruiting never ends, of course, but it just seems like you and your guys have really turned up the heat and gone after a number of players that maybe you've just discovered here in the spring. They've kind of developed and they've become available, and you guys have jumped on quite a number of them, it appears, based on our reports.
Oh, it's, Phil, recruiting's changed over the years, and it's at a place right now where you never take a break from it. If you sit back and you realize that last year there were over 700 transfers, and we're well on our way to having at least 700 more this year. You can't stop recruiting. You always have to be ready and prepare for what might happen. And it's different. It's a different animal. It's a different way of recruiting. But you always have to stay prepared. And, we're no different than the other 347 Division I schools. We have to be prepared to take on a guy or two here in the spring. And luckily our staff has done an unbelievable job of continuing to identify the right guys that would fit us at this stage.
Right now, we've got you with 3 signed players and who has committed. I don't think he's actually signed yet, reportedly. In a perfect world here, recruiting for you this spring, how many more would you like to add to the class?
I wish they let us have 15 scholarship players. That's what I'd like. That's what women have. Heck, football. I think they have like 68 scholarships or something like that. And heck, only about 40 of them play. So I'd like to have 15, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, Phil, we'll have 13. That's the number we have to be at, and we understand that. And it's not. Here's what I'll tell you, because I know the answer that you and everyone else wants, and I comprehend. It's not fair for me to comment on things that are not finalized. But I can tell you this: there's no one sitting around telling kids that they have to leave. Mm-hmm. That conversation is not being had.
Which leads me to the next question. Any resolution with Shamik Shepard? We know, of course, Demetrius Henry announced he is transferring. Any word from Shamik?
He and I met today, and we continue to move forward in our dialogues and our thoughts. And obviously, the semester ends here middle of next week, so there will be some resolution pretty soon on that.
Mm-hmm. All right. What about the injury status, the health of Tamarcus Blanton? How is he looking here as we head towards the summer? What can you expect from him next season?
He looks great. He's still not cleared to play and compete, but he's doing a lot of running. He's strong as an ox. He does all kinds of agility stuff with trainers, and he looks good. And he's so excited. June 1st is the date that they've targeted where he'll be cleared, where he can engage in basketball competitive activities. So knock on wood, let's hope he stays on course. And on June 1st, when he actually competes for the first time in a long time, that his hip holds up and he's able to continue to move forward.
Can you indulge us for a few more minutes? Can we hold you over through our short break here and ask you a few more questions?
What time's your show over?
We go till 10 o'clock tonight.
Well,
special edition.
Can you call me at 7 o'clock? I'm at the Darla Moore. I'll be more than happy to come back on with you at 7.
Oh, yeah. I was really joking about the 10 o'clock part. But you do want us to call you back at 7? We'll be happy to do that. Actually,
you call me. We'll call me back at 7. I'll come back because I'm going to function with our president.
Oh, I understand. Yeah. 7. Actually, we'll call you at 7:10.
That'll work.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
All right. Thank you very much. We have some bonus Frank Martin to look forward to. And now that's a first. Never really had one say, call me back a half hour later.
There you go.
But that works for me because we got more to talk about with the Gamecock basketball coach, and we'll be right back. It is time for our Braves Report with Mike Morgan. Brought to you by Play It Again Sports off Bauer Parkway in Columbia, where you'll find the best selection of golf clubs in the Midlands for adults and juniors. By Founders Federal Credit Union, helping South Carolinians attain their financial goals. And by Mattress by Appointment. Real simple. You call, you save 50 to 80% on premium mattress sets. 803-530-8549. As we welcome in Mike Morgan to Sports Talk. Good night for the Braves last night. They open up a homestand with a victory against the struggling Nationals. They'll go for a 2 in a row tonight over the Nationals at Turner Field. First of all, Mike, last night's performance by the Braves, good way to open up the series. How do you assess the way they won that game?
Well, I think they jumped out to an early lead, and they just kept coming. Really, it was one of the better offensive performances that Atlanta has had. Doug Fister's a quality pitcher and a guy that can shut you down if you're not careful, and they got to him early on and continued to just knock away at him with a lineup that, again, is, I mean, you look at the Braves lineup and you say, there's really nothing that good about it. Freddie Freeman is the one guy who's made an all-star team, and Freeman's not exactly tearing up the cover off the ball because he doesn't see many good pitches to hit. Not a whole lot of motivation to pitch to him. Guys like Markakis and Cayespo and Jace Peterson, Cameron Maybin, these are not exactly a murderer's row of Major League Baseball, but they do just enough, and they did just enough yesterday with some pretty good pitching by Stoltz, so got to give him credit as well.
That reminded me of that scene in Major League when they're reading players off. This guy here's dead.
Yeah, right. Cross them off the list then. I mean, that's it does have a feeling of that a little bit compared to what we're used to seeing. And, again, I always go back to the fact when people lament about losing Jason Hayward and Justin Upton, the bottom line is with those guys, they were 29th out of 30 teams in runs scored. So obviously they were not the solution to the problem. So now you've got a bunch of players that maybe are not as good talent-wise, but do things better. And the attitude and the overall vibe in the clubhouse is unquestionably better. Whether or not that equates to a bunch of wins this year, I don't know. But I could see what the Braves were hoping to do and have at least accomplished that much thus far.
I know they'll get a chance to see him later in the season, but it's too bad if you're a Braves fan, you're going to tonight's game, you're not going to get a chance to see Max Scherzer pitch for the Nationals. He's out with the strained right thumb, and it'll be a rookie, A.J. Cole. Now, competitively speaking, that's a break for the Braves, but if you're a fan, you want to see Scherzer pitch, especially since he has just come over from that other league.
Well, you're right. Selfishly, as someone who's going to be at the ballpark tonight, I want to see Max Scherzer. I like to see the big guys go in town, and he's one of the best, no question about it. We've watched that young man's career going back to when he was a pitcher at Missouri, and then with Detroit, winning Cy Young, and now, of course, with the Nationals. So, yeah, I would have loved to have seen that. Look, the Braves have handled Steven Strasburg, a guy who was supposed to be the best thing since sliced bread. Atlanta's owned him. So sometimes some of the better pitchers in baseball don't fare real well against the Braves for whatever reason. We don't know anything about A.J. Cole. It's his first career start. A lot of times these are the kind of guys that give the Braves trouble because they haven't seen him before. Scouting report is nice, video is nice, but until you've actually stepped in the batter's box against a guy, you don't have a good feel for him. And sometimes that's problematic for Atlanta, but we'll see how this lineup shapes against the no-name A.J. Cole tonight.
You're talking about players being deceased. A guy who may have risen like at least last night, Kelly Johnson, a guy who just took a shot, I guess, last result to see if he could make the Braves team, and he did it. What realistically do they expect out of Kelly Johnson in his second tour of duty?
Yeah, he went all Pedro Serrano on him last night, right?
Nice.
Because we continue to make one Major League reference after another.
Yawn.
Kelly Johnson is a guy that nobody expected to be on the roster, but he just keeps bouncing around from team to team. Obviously, he's a name in Atlanta from years back, but he's never been able to stay healthy. That's been the biggest problem with Kelly Johnson. But overall, he's a solid player. He's not in the lineup tonight. No, I beg your pardon. He is in the lineup tonight. He's batting in the 6 hole. But he's a guy that's in and out of the lineup. I mean, they don't exactly rely on him, but so far he's been good. He's been a contributor.
Mike, thank you very much, my friend. We'll talk to you tomorrow night. Mike Morgan, our Braves report.
Brought to you by Tire World.
Okay.
Another Major League reference.
So
You really should watch the movie once.
Using movie references.
Tire World.
Nobody gets it.
Tire World.
Sports South airing tonight's game 7:10 is your first pitch. We'll be right back with recruiting. Hi, we are back with you on Sports Talk. Let's give you the recruiting. We'll begin on the basketball side. 6'9" Eric Holman, Owensboro, Kentucky, is supposed to be taking an official visit to USC today and Wednesday based on what he said over the weekend. I don't have any official confirmation of that. I've not been able to reach his coach over the past 2 days. 6'10" Eric Cobb out of Baltimore and Jacksonville is going to begin his official to USC tomorrow. Tevin Mack's mother told us that yesterday she had conversations with Mark Fox, Shaka Smart, and Bill Self, all three telling her how much they want her son. She said they all want him bad. She said especially Kansas. Now, Kansas just picked up pretty good commitment from he's 6'9" guy. They got a commitment from today. Is that right? Did I say that earlier?
Yeah.
A bigger guy.
Yeah, power forward.
Yeah. Self told Ms. Mack that he needs a big scoring guard. UCLA also contacted Ms. Mack on Monday. Now, they don't have any plans to take any visits right now, but she said they are thinking about riding over to Georgia. She did look into airline tickets to Kansas and Texas as well. They do not have any official visits left. There's not been much between her and USC recently. She hasn't heard that much from Clemson either. Now, Tevin's 18th birthday is Friday. His mother would like him to make a decision on that day, but she said he's given her no indication he'll be ready to make a decision by then. Robert Morris transfer guard Marquise Reed told CBSSports.com he'll visit Southern Cal this coming weekend and Clemson the following weekend. He has been to Tulsa and UMass. Could Clemson take another transfer guard? I don't know. Is Reed? I got to go back and check. He's not one that's eligible right away, is he?
I didn't think so.
He's
no.
a 6'2" guard. So the other guy they took was the 6'1" point guard in Mitchell. Football. Tight end Thaddeus Moss of Charlotte. That's Randy Moss's son. He is a guy that is really evolving on the recruiting scene with more than 20 offers from coast to coast, including USC and Southern Cal. Under his father's instructions this spring, he's been focusing on academics and his football skills. So the only campus visit he made was to North Carolina for a junior day. He's not yet been to USC, but he plans to as soon as he can. Of course, he's very interested in USC, especially the idea of playing for Spurrier. Some of his other offers are Nebraska, Cal, UCLA, Oregon, Vandy, Boston College, and Wake Forest. No favorites for him right now. Offensive lineman Clark Yarbrough of Woodbury Forest, Virginia, making his decision May 21st. He's down to Clemson, Stanford, Virginia, Florida, and today Clemson's Brandon Streeter was in to see him. His coach said that Yarbrough told him he constantly talks about liking the Clemson staff the best, and they really like Coach Caldwell on that staff. So the Tigers still with a fighting chance there with Clark Yarbrough. All right, top of the hour break, and we'll be back.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornblut, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
Okay, we're back at Sports Talk South Carolina Radio Network, Part 2 with Frank Martin coming up in just a couple of minutes. We appreciate the coach hanging in there with us and giving us some extra time here tonight. A couple of quick other notes. Coastal Carolina basketball coach Cliff Ellis confirmed to the Myrtle Beach newspaper 2 of his players are leaving, 6'8" forward Uros Leskovich and 6'10" center Kyle Bufkin are going to be departing the program. They wish him well, but they got plenty of players coming back, he says. They'll be just fine. And you have more updates on the Chick-fil-A golf outing?
Yes, Steve Spurrier and Sterling Sharp so close to winning it again, but they lost on the second playoff hole. They finished the round at 9 under par, so it was a 4-way playoff. Paul Johnson and John Barry, who ended up winning it. Nick Saban and Mark Ingram playing with Nick Saban. They were also in the playoff, Steve Spurrier and Sterling Sharp, and Dave Doran and Terry Harvey from NC State. Dabo Sweeney and Steve Fuller, not a great day on the links. They finished 11th out of 14 teams at 1 under par. Tommy Tuberville, his squad with Kevin Huber, finished 2 over, and Larry Fedora and Roy Williams. Everything's bad in North Carolina right now, including the golf.
Oof.
2 over.
Check that scorecard, considering the way they do things in Chapel Hill these days. There could have been
there's a lot of eraser marks.
They're using
on
an eraser on that thing. Also, in the skills contest yesterday, this will irritate Tiger fans if you talk about competition. Yesterday, in the closest to the pin competition, Malzahn from Auburn, he was 7 feet 9 inches away on a 98-yard shot. He was the winner. Spurrier finished tied for 7th, 23 feet 5 inches. Sweeney, 23 feet 7 inches. So Spurrier was 2 inches shorter or closer to the hole than Sweeney. So he just, another victory for Spurrier over Sweeney, though Sweeney's got the big victory most recently. But if you want to judge him by their golf,
he outdrove him.
No, this was
the closest to the pin.
Closest to the pin from a 98.
If Spurrier outdrove him, that would be a little embarrassing for Dabo, considering he's 30 years younger.
Well, actually, he is 26 years. Yeah, Dabo's 44.
I rounded up.
Hey, look,
to the nearest whole number, which you can do when it's within 5.
He's going to be pushing 50 here pretty soon, and people will be wondering, how much longer he's going to coach.
But we'll have to make a poll question and ask it every other day. Kornblut.
50. Hey, we might be.
How many more years will Dabo Sweeney coach at Clemson?
I think Dabo Sweeney is a 30-year coach at Clemson.
A lifer.
He's a Frank Howard. Yeah. Well, I see him going nowhere unless Alabama, when the time comes.
When the Green Bay Packers call him, I think Dabo Sweeney would take that call.
When they back the Brinks truck up.
If I were going to have a chance to coach Aaron Rodgers, I might consider that as well. I mean, that's an automatic, almost every year trip to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. How many times did that happen for him?
Almost, I said. Almost automatic. All right, we are back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. I think maybe the first time in our 31-plus year history, we've got the same interview guest back on the phone with us for the second hour, and we thank Coach Frank Martin for giving us a little bonus, a little overtime action here on Sports Talk. How'd your meeting with Darla Moore go?
Actually, it was great. I was there with Dr. Pastides and a bunch of our board of trustees and state legislators, and I didn't mean to cut you guys off. But,
no, that's fine.
Dr. Pastides calls, I run.
Yeah, I understand. Want to talk to you about a couple more things with your team and about college basketball in general. The way the season finished up, winning record, a lot of momentum, recruiting going well. How does this have you feeling about next season when you kind of look ahead and say, you know what, this is what I think this team can accomplish if we stay healthy and we do the right things?
Yeah, it's winning is always difficult. It's winning a game is very difficult. Winning during the course of a whole season is extremely difficult. I think we've all taken that for granted. Here, I don't mean just here in South Carolina. I just mean as fans and as people that are involved with athletics. But I'm extremely excited. I was excited at the end of my first year. I was excited at the end of last year, and I'm more excited today than I've been at any time since I've been the head coach.
Is that primarily because of what you've got returning veteran-wise from the team that finished up well, or what you're bringing in when you think about you've got a McDonald's All-American and P.J. Dozier that people are excited about, and then you got Chris Silva and the other player, Gregory, that you know that you've signed. What is giving you the feeling of greatest excitement?
Well, that we finally got guys in place that have been through it, that know how to lead, that understand what it's like to succeed at the college level and fail at the college level. They've tasted both ends of it. And so now a young man like P.J. Dozier, who comes in, with unbelievable high school accomplishments. He's got a guy in Sindarius Thornwell who's accomplished almost these same things as PJ did in high school. But he understands what works in college and what doesn't work. He understands how he's played when he's been successful and the things that have taken place that have prevented him from having success. So he can help PJ go through the transition. The burden of winning and losing doesn't fall on a freshman anymore. That allows a freshman to grow at a normal rate and not be exposed to some emotions that he's never had to manage before. So with all those things said, that's what excites me, is that we finally got a core of guys in place that get it, that understand, they care, and we've got a very talented class. Our staff, Bill, I can't tell you how excited I am about our staff and the ability that they have shown to continue to recruit better players as we continue to move forward.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned Thornwell, Frank. Where is he in terms of his recovery from that off-season minor knee surgery?
Yeah, it's I don't mean to correct you. I just people keep referring to surgery. He had an injection into his patellar tendon, so there was never surgery. There was never nothing was cut, but it is a procedure, and he says he's still not doing anything where he's running. Everything he's doing right now is strengthening of the muscles in the knee joint, along with his weight conditioning program that everyone else is in. But he says his knees feel better than they have in a long, long time. So we just got to stay the course. We're not trying to win a championship in June. So we just need his knees to keep healing. And that way, when we round to next year, we don't have to battle that same issue that we battled through as the season went on this year.
One of the moves in college basketball that's been talked about that you've gone on record as saying you're sort of dead set against, but it looks like it's coming, Frank, is the 30-second shot clock. Do you have to adjust your coaching at all? And how do you feel about the inevitability of the 30-second shot clock?
It's different. people say it's only 5 seconds. It's a huge difference. It's a very big difference. And the problem is that we're trying to fix offensive basketball by shortening the clock because, well, that's how the NBA plays. Well, you know what? I didn't realize that I collect a paycheck from the NBA. College basketball is college basketball. It's about the team. And what happens is if you shorten the shot clock, but continue to allow us to play defense where we stand in the lane, it makes scoring even more difficult. In the NBA, those guys are pros, first of all. So they're the elite of the elite that have learned how to play basketball for X number of years in their lives. Secondly, they have defensive rules that do not allow you to stand in the lane. Therefore, it allows for more individual performances because they make it more of a one-on-one game, a matchup game, which is what they want because it's about celebrating and exposing the individual talent. College basketball is about the team winning, not so much showcasing individuals. I'm against it. And the thing, here's why the nuts and bolts. Coaching high school basketball for 16 years, I'm teaching things in practice that I used to teach ninth graders. Yet they continue to eliminate how many hours we can work with our players. So we're teaching less and asking them to play better. That doesn't make sense to me.
Talking with USC basketball coach Frank Martin for a couple of more minutes. Anything you can share with us about the schedule? That, of course, we know some of the things, some of the pieces you have for next year, but anything new, any additions recently that you can share with us about your schedule?
Yeah, no, Phil, I wish I can tell you, and I'm not trying to hide anything.
Mm-hmm.
We're just we're behind it right now. We're not where I'd like to be from a game standpoint. We're in negotiations with 4 different schools right now. 3 schools and a company that's trying to set up a matchup. That I'm, as long as I can be the coach at the University of South Carolina, we're going to continue to play as competitive a schedule as we can put together. It's what I believe in. It's the way I like doing it. I don't like playing in where the other team's inferior because that creates bad habits for our team. Now, you can't play the defending national champion 27 times because then that makes it very difficult for everybody. But with that said, we have to be able to play a schedule that gives us the opportunity to prepare our team to win an SEC championship. And that's extremely hard, so you have to expose your team to hard as much as you can.
When do you think your schedule will be done?
Oh, God. Last year, we completed it in June. I got a feeling we'll probably it'll be closer to July before we're in a place where the schedule's complete.
All right, let me ask you, get about 30, 40 seconds. A lot of new faces on the benches around the SEC, but tremendous upgrades, you would think. I know you don't want to criticize anybody that's no longer coaching in the SEC, but some pretty big names stepping into some jobs in the SEC.
Yeah, I mean it's contrary to popular belief, Phil. The SEC is a league that has very good coaches in it, and obviously Anthony Grant, Rick Ray, Donnie Tyndall, those guys. See, here's where things kind of get skewed sometimes. The guys that were Rick was a head coach for the first time. Anthony Grant was the hottest name in the business when Alabama hired him, and Donnie Tyndall had won 29 games at Southern Miss when Tennessee hired him. So it's not like they did not know what they were doing. With all that said, it's great to have guys like Coach Howland and Avery Johnson, and then Rick Barnes, who's a personal friend of mine. I know what he's about, and having those guys in the league is going to be great for the conference.
Coach, we really appreciate it. Good luck on Friday night. I know it's going to be a blast at your bash, and we thank you for being with us here on Sports Talk. We'll see you again soon.
Great to be here, and I like the little halftime thing that we set it up with today.
I like that,
nice.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Gave us a chance to kind of take a break and recollect our thoughts and come back at you with a little vigor. Frank Martin here on Sports Talk. We'll be right back. right, once again, thanks to USC basketball coach Frank Martin for spending some quality time with his friends over here at Sports Talk. We really appreciate that. He had some interesting things to say. Just to recap, if you joined us, he was with us in the first hour of the program. Then we had to, as he said, go to halftime break while he took care of some business over the university. Then we hooked back up with him in the second hour. But he told us that Shamik Shepard, he and Shamik met today to discuss things moving forward. The school year ends the middle of next week, and he expects some sort of decision / announcement from Shepard sometime then. I don't know what you can read into all of that. I mean, Demetrius Henry announced last week he was transferring. If Shepard were leaving, he could have already have announced that. Maybe it's something he has to wait for academics to be completed. Who knows? There's so many different things that go into it. But anyway, that is still pending. To Marcus Blanton, information on him seems to be upbeat. A chance to get him back on the court maybe by early part of June. He's upbeat about the recruiting. He's upbeat about the players that are returning. Feels like the momentum that they built up at the end of last season is carried over and will carry over into the coming season. And he expects to play a challenging schedule, and he's not excited about the idea of going to a 30-second shot clock, which, you know, it's interesting what college basketball is trying to do there. The perception being that by going to a 30-second clock, they're going to make for more exciting college basketball. I don't know about that. I think Frank's right. I mean, and we all know that the shooting around college basketball is not good. I don't know that chopping 5 seconds off the shot clock and forcing you to maybe take shots sooner than you would have previously is going to make for better basketball. It might make for more missed shots, more rebounds out there. I don't know. Then again, how many teams actually would get close to the 35-second standard before forcing themselves to take a shot?
Not really that close. But I will say this. I think anytime you make a rule change, you have to anticipate somebody will come up to you, Phil, and say 30-second shot clock. Look, we want to pick up the pace. We want to have more scoring or whatever. Okay, now give me the negative to that. What do you mean? Well, if you're going to change the rule, tell me what the negative may be. Mm-hmm. See, everybody's positive. Well, to me, there's only an explanation, and Frank talked about it in his answer. And that is, if you're going to have a 30-second shot clock, you must also, in my opinion, have defensive 3 seconds in the lane. Okay, well, now you can't stand in the lane and camp in there. So if you make one rule, you got to come up with a counter to make sure that everything is going to be helped. Because I think that's, if you're allowed to still camp out in that lane, it's not going to help matters.
I like that idea. I think a better rule too would have been to extend the 3-point line.
That to the international.
Well, whatever. Just back it out a little bit more.
A little more space.
Yeah, a little bit more space inside. Give you more room to penetrate and dish, and also give the big men a little more room to roam in there. I do like that idea. What you mentioned, the 3-second defensive in the lane that the NBA has. I kind of like that idea too for college basketball. We'll be right back. More sports talk coming up. Time to talk NASCAR here on Sports Talk, as we do on Tuesday nights with the president of Darlington Raceway, Chip Weil, coming off the weekend at Richmond. Long weekend. Again, the rain, a big factor, washing things out on Saturday night, but a pretty day on Sunday, a little chilly, but they got the race in with no problems. And Kurt Busch, the popular winner in the Haas Automation Chevrolet. We welcome Chip in to the program. So Kurt Busch, ever since he got off of his suspension and got back on the track, he's been a threat practically every week. And boy, was he dominant on Sunday. That was a very, very strong performance.
Man, almost leading 300 laps en route to his first victory of the season. That was truly a dominant performance. Excited for Kurt Busch. He's obviously had a long road back. Certainly, one would argue that was one of the highlights of his career. Because 2 or 3 years ago, I'm sure he's looking at himself in the mirror saying, man, am I ever going to get back to victory lane?
Yeah. Well, you're right about that. He's a former champion. He's an interesting individual because of the things that have happened to him, off the track, on the track. He seems to me as a guy, listening to his comments after the race, and I don't know how well you know him. Maybe you know him well, but he doesn't seem to me as a guy who is happy. I know he was happy to win, but the joy, I didn't sense the joy, the complete joy in victory from him. Maybe I'm misreading him. Maybe it's because he just comes across as a real hard ass to me. And I wonder if he really appreciates what goes along with victory.
He's a different kind of guy, and I've had the opportunity to work with Kurt Busch. He is a different individual. He obviously, it's been well documented that he's had some troubles, but I've kind of compared it to Tiger Woods, right? Even if you don't agree with what Tiger Woods has been able to do, even don't agree with what he's been able or what he has done off the racetrack, what he's able to do on that golf course, you can't deny is pretty incredible. Mm-hmm. And that's the same with Kurt Busch. He's one of those guys that, he's had a lot of well-documented struggles off the racetrack, but when he straps that helmet on, he's one of the best in the business. And I'll agree with you. He's a different individual. He certainly isn't competitor, and nor is his brother. But you got to take the good with the bad, and I think it's a good story for him. And certainly he's had the speed. I mean, let's face it. Since he's come back in that car 4 or 5 weeks ago, he's had the speed to win, and he's finally gotten the victory lane. Yeah,
I think your analogy is right on, because to me, even when Tiger, he hasn't done well in a while, but it just seems like when he does do well, it's not enough. He doesn't seem satisfied. You see some people when they win, they're just overjoyed by it, and these guys don't. It doesn't come across that way to me. But anyway, you mentioned Kyle. How is he coming along in his rehab? How long will it be before he's able to get behind the wheel again?
Yeah, I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't think they've really set a timeline for Kyle. I think it's one of those things that they're taking it day to day. It sounds like he's making significant progress, but there's still a long road to recovery. I mean, you break your femur and a bone in your foot. You got a long road to get back and climb inside a race car, but I think he's not putting a timeline on it, which is good, because that means he's really focused on getting healthy, and when he gets back in that race car, it'll be the right time.
Another strong performance for Kevin Harvick. Didn't have enough to catch Busch there at the end, but he made another strong showing. And, it's going to be hard to knock him off when it comes down to those final races. And I'm sure you got to figure he's going to be one of the final four standing when they go to Homestead in all likelihood. He looks like he's got some real strong staying power this year.
Yeah, the guy is just incredible. I mean, even when he has a bad set of tires and gets knocked back in the field, he bolts on a new set and dips right back up. And I think if you gave him another 5 to 7 laps, he would have been right there to battle Kurt Busch for the win. I mean, just what that team's been able to accomplish this year, finishing second in all but 2 races, that's astonishing to me. That you've had 3 wins and 6 top 2 finishes in the first part of the season. They certainly have something figured out over there, and it looks like that they've also passed that information on the 41, because both those cars arguably are the 2 strongest in the field each and every week.
Yeah, I tell you, you're right about that. Stewart Haas Racing's got to feel pretty good. Tony is starting to come on a little bit. Danica Patrick's had a surprisingly good season so far. She's still in the top 16 in points. So, I mean, Stewart Haas is really, stepping up to establish itself as one of the strongest teams week in and week out among its arsenal there.
Yeah, and if you would have told me that Tony Stewart out of that would have the least amount of top tens, I would have told you were crazy. But that is the truth. Danica Patrick has 2 top tens, and he only has 1.
Yeah,
and is the furthest back in the points right now. So we need Tony to start running better. I think it's good for our sport. He's a great ambassador for our sport and our industry, and we need him to start running a little bit better. And he'll get it. I mean, I think you saw the fire in Tony over the weekend. He had that issue with Dale Jr. on Sunday. And he wasn't going to take any nonsense off anybody. He didn't want to talk to the media. He's back to old Tony form outside the race car. Now we need him to get back to old Tony form inside the race.
No, he's one of my favorites. I love Tony Stewart. I love the way he and the incident last year, I know that was a tragic situation. That didn't change my feeling about him as the type of person and driver he is, because to me, Tony Stewart has always been one of those guys that will tell you exactly how he feels about something. He doesn't hold his feelings back or try to cover up anything when he talks about any particular issue. He tells you what's exactly on his mind.
I agree, and I'm a huge Tony Stewart fan. He's a great friend of mine, and Tony Stewart's one of the most compassionate and giving individuals you'll ever meet. He'll give you the shirt off his back, but he'll also tell you how he feels. He's going to make sure that his voice is heard, and luckily for him, his voice is very respected.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's won championships in just about every vehicle that he's ever climbed in. The guy knows how to drive a race car. He's obviously learning how to run a race team and be a team owner, and he's going to be around for a long time. We just need him in that 14 car just a little bit better, because everybody in the business wants to see Tony get back to his championship form.
Absolutely. As we head toward the summer months and the Southern 500 grows closer, will there be any testing coming to Darlington? Will they have that opportunity to get there in advance at some point in time?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a Goodyear test on June 9th, which will be closed to the public. But then June 10th, we'll have a number of teams at the racetrack doing a test gearing up for the Bojangles Southern 500, and that'll be open to the public. We're going to open up our backstretch grandstands. We're going to have Bojangles come out and serve some chicken.
Ooh.
And heck, we might even get a driver to come over there and talk to all the fans that come. It'll be a free event, but just gearing up for the return to Labor Day weekend. We really are still so excited about the opportunity to race back on Labor Day. It's where the race ought to be,
Mm-hmm.
and we're gearing up. We got a lot of great things in store for our race fans for our weekend, and look forward to sharing those with you really soon.
That sounds great. Do you know some of the teams that are coming to test at this point?
I don't have a list, so they have a published list. I don't have it on me, but what they did is they broke the test up into 3 groups. So they broke those groups up into the tracks. They got a test for this year, so we'll have about 14 race teams there in some capacity testing for the Bojangles Southern 500.
That sounds great. Well, listen, thank you so much for the visit tonight. Enjoy your week, and we'll see you. We got Talladega coming up this weekend. It's buckle up time, hold your breath time this weekend.
That's right. Let's see what happens. You got to find a friend early, and you can't make any mistakes, and you can't get caught up in somebody else's mess. I'm actually heading on Thursday, so I'll give you a first-hand report next Tuesday.
Man, we can't wait. Thank you, Chip.
All right, man.
Thank you. You know, when I watch Talladega and Daytona, it's a hard race to watch because disaster lurks at every turn, and you just
try not to wreck in the first. But until the last 10 laps,
when
and
those guys,
then there's going to be 4 wrecks.
When they're running in a pack of 25 or 30, and it's nose to tail, and they're doing 200 plus, those are the 2 tracks that I still, worry about the health of the drivers
and the fans. Because when they
Yeah.
wreck at that speed, all kinds of stuff goes up in the stands.
Up into the stands.
Well, I just, despite all the improvements that they've made inside the car since Dale Earnhardt's death, you still worry about those cars at that speed running that close together that something tragic could happen. But thank goodness so far they've avoided anything like that in recent years. We'll be right back. Well, the Braves are up on Washington 2-1 as they play in the bottom of the second inning. Braves looking to go 2 for 2 against the Nationals in this series and get off to a good start. This 10-game homestand for them. Let's update some other Major League Baseball. How about that situation in Baltimore? What a sad deal in so many ways, but in terms of the Orioles, couldn't play last night, can't play tonight. Tomorrow they're going to play, but they're not going to allow any fans into Oriole Park.
Game.
That will be
surreal.
A very weird game for the players, I would imagine, playing in a ballpark with nobody in it.
Yeah.
I mean, when is the last time that happened for them? I mean, for anybody, even when you're in high school, even when you're playing T-ball, there's 20 parents around there. No, that's
going to be weird.
Are they still going to do the organ music and have they announce the batters? Yeah, I mean, that's
Boot Powell going to have his barbecue.
That's a good point. I mean, who are you announcing it to? You know,
now batting.
That reminds me a little bit of the SEC basketball tournament.
Yeah.
During the tornado, and they moved it to Georgia Tech, and they said, only staff members. Of course, they let people in. In fact, I was at the championship game. There were a lot of people there that somehow got in, and when it was supposed to only be staff members and wives and girlfriends and things like that. But anyway,
Georgia was playing.
Yeah. That was the day of the tournament. Georgia won 4 straight and went to the NCAA tournament, which reminds me, whatever happened to Dennis Felton? He was such a hot coach at one time. Where is he now?
I have no idea. He's probably an assistant somewhere, a consultant somewhere. Might be coaching overseas.
He was on TV for a while.
He was a good coach.
He is currently an assistant coach at Tulsa.
Really? Okay.
So there you go.
Good for him. Braves up 2-1. Mets in Miami, they are scoreless in the third. Cincinnati 1-0 on Milwaukee in the third. The Yankees with a 2-0 lead on Tampa Bay in the third. I'm telling you, I like this team more and more every day.
This just in.
More good news. Toronto leading Boston 8-4. That's really good news.
There's the good news.
Kansas City and Cleveland 2-2. What's just in.
Well, you expected this. The Ravens have canceled their draft party.
By the way, Saltilamakia.
Former Brave.
Yeah. Jared Saltilamakia. Not having a good year by any means with the Marlins. Didn't have a good year last year with them after having a really good year last year. His last season in Boston, he was really good. Goes to the Marlins, big contract, doesn't do much. Gets cut by the Marlins after taking a paternity leave. I would think there would be some protection in there
That's why they cut him?
Yeah. He comes back from paternity leave and they cut him.
Yeah, I would think that.
I'm not sure that's what they stated. Did they?
I said
I think they just took the
bad.
opportunity and said, well, it was kind of good with you not being around. Let's fix that so
you're not dedicated to base. I mean, and there are some guys that are not into trouble.
But my thinking is he's too good of a player. He struggled here of late, but he's too good of a player to be out of work for very long.
Especially as a receiver, just as a catcher, even if he's a backup, he
and Dan
calls a good game.
Go somewhere.
Saltilamakia. Longest name in baseball?
Yeah.
Longest name in the majors? Jared Saltilamakia.
Yeah, that's why nobody's going to sign him. They don't want to have to sew that many letters on the back of it.
Makes sense to me.
In the record, though, the 1969 Dodger Rookie of the Year, Billy Grabarkowitz, that name was
Grabarkowitz. I think Saltilamakia is longer than Grabarkowitz.
I don't know.
Be.
Yeah.
Well, Grabarkowitz is easy to pronounce. I know that much.
All right, a couple of other notes here from this evening. In women's tennis, yes, we cover everything here on Sports Talk. Clemson's women's tennis team earned their 14th consecutive NCAA bid today. Ranked 21st, they'll go to Tuscaloosa. First, second rounds May 8th through 10th. 23rd bid in program history. 16th and 18th seasons under Coach Nancy Harris. Clemson will be joined in the regional by Sanford, the Southern Conference champion, Sun Belt champion South Alabama, and regional host Alabama. The Tigers will play South Alabama in the first round. Clemson is 16-9, 10-4 in ACC play. Charleston Southern women's team also headed to the tournament. They will be taking on Georgia on May the 9th in Athens. This will be their postseason debut after winning their first Big South Tournament championship to cap off the winningest season in team history. 18-2 overall record. Did you know that? Congratulations to the Buccaneers women's tennis team. They've had a heck of an athletic year down there at Charleston Southern. And we'll be back with more in a moment. All right, just taking a look at some things on Twitter. And South Carolina has offered Chris Smith, receiver, cornerback from South Point High School, his first offer. I take that back. Maybe his second offer. Also looks like he's gotten an offer from Old Dominion as well. So South Carolina offering an in-stater. There's another good player on that team as well, another defensive back who has drawn a good – came back with keeping you awake.
Yeah.
I really hate to
yeah. You are keeping me awake.
Yeah. Nick McLeod is the other. He hasn't gotten any well, Northwestern's offered him. South Point South Point's going to have another nasty team this coming season, no doubt about it.
Now, didn't they have some kind of record of the last few years of having the NFL draft choice? Like 6 or 7 out of there in the last – what, 3 or 4 years?
Is that Rock Hill or just South Point? I think that might have
Rock
been
Hill
the entire Rock Hill.
They have.
There's something in the wall. Every time I drive up 77, I make sure to stop in Rock Hill and drink some water.
Hoping
to get back on the NFL.
Help you become an NFL prospect.
Well, yeah, I know the dream of playing in the NFL is probably over for me now.
Yeah.
But I hope that maybe it'll rub off on me in other ways.
What position would you play
in the NFL?
Yeah,
I mean, I'd probably have to be a wide receiver or defensive back. Yeah, play punter. That's what I'd be the punter.
Now, did you play high school football at Pillion?
No,
you did not. Sissy, why not?
Oh my goodness, they are choking. A little
can we pay attention to the show and not the Braves game? I mean,
okay,
blurting out, "Oh my goodness, they're choking," doesn't do our audience any good.
I know the position. I know the position.
I was like, what happened?
I know
those watching
TVs are
behind.
yeah, the TVs are behind.
If anybody, I'll give you a movie reference.
Oh,
Lucas.
please, another.
Yes.
I'm going to ban that on this show as of today.
Good luck with that.
No more movie
What
references.
Is this America? Is this America?
I would tell you what
It's not the America I grew up in.
Yeah.
I would tell you what
Don't
position
reference
I
things I
play
don't
in
know.
the NFL.
Which is everything.
Just like the high school kid asked the coach in Lucas, what position
Who's Lucas?
It was a movie.
It's a movie, Corey.
But
starring Corey Feldman.
But here's the deal.
Who's that?
The coach says, what position, coach? What position do you want me to play? Prone, and that's where I would be in the NFL.
Prone to losing. By the way, haven't heard back from Allen. Was it Allen in Columbia that bet me on the Yankees and Mets series? I won some money.
You're even. You owed him.
Well, I guess we kind of cleared the slate.
That's called double or nothing, Corn.
Andy.
This guy doesn't even
Why
know
do you
who he
ask that
owes money
question,
to.
Andy?
We are even Steven, baby. Thank you, A-Rod and the Yankees. Braves are up 6-1 now. Nationals are just falling apart like everything else in Washington. That will do it for tonight. Have yourselves a great – K-Mac, you're gone. Heading out to
St.
Big
Louis.
House in Missouri, huh? Have fun
Midwest,
with the
Midwestern
bosses
values.
a couple of days. Pro and I will be here, which is fine. And we'll see you tomorrow night.